everyone, this is Skylar Buss, Client Service Associate here at Zhang Financial. With the Inflation Reduction Act being signed into law by President Biden, the questions of tax audits arises among listeners. So over the course of 2 different parts, we'll cover some tips on how to approach tax audits and walk through the important details of the Inflation Reduction Act. Here's part 2. Lynn, during our last episode, you discussed the Inflation Reduction Act as well as some tips for audits. Have you ever helped a client go through an audit? And if you have, do you have any tricks and tips for them?
I do, and I have. So, it is intense. But I'm not joking here. If you get a full audit, it is intense. And yes, I have helped clients, numerous clients, actually, many clients go through that. So I have some tips. One is IRS agents, even though people don't like them, I can tell you I actually like them. I think they're actually reasonable people, truly. They're truly nice, reasonable people. Once they know that you are, for instance, you're just making an innocent mistake, you're not trying to abuse the system, they actually help you try to find a solution for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're not there to say, ha, I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that's not. But one thing you can do, so several things, tips I can share with you in the auditing process. One is, this is the time being organized pays off. Be very organized. Submit your documents as requested in a very organized fashion. I have known people who say, well, screw them. I'm just going to give them a pile of my stuff. They can sort it out themselves. No. This is not how it goes. You want, in the US system, right, the law system, it's innocent before proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what happens when you go through a tax audit, because you're the one who put those numbers on the tax return.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the one bears the responsibility of substantiate the number you claimed. So if you want IRS follow your thoughts on why you put those numbers on your return, then make sure you organize your documents in that way, so they see why you put those numbers on the return. So that is number 1, being very organized. Number 2, if you're missing some documents, go find them. If you're missing acknowledgement, go find them. And I always tell our clients, if they say, well, I'm going to get this acknowledgement letter of the charitable later, I say, no, I'm not finding your return until you get it, because you actually, when you go through the audit, especially for like charitable organizations, charitable donation thing, you don't have a chance to go back and get a backdated letter. You're supposed to have all the receipts at the time of the tax filing. So make sure you got that. Submit your documents and be cooperative. And again, if they see that you have no intention of trying to abuse the system, they'll actually try to help you if you're missing something, to say, well, let's find a solution together. And third is, I think if you want to avoid getting audited, one thing is, don't get into the transactions that would raise red flag to start with. I give you an example. Years ago, there was this kind of investments that's very popular. It's about, okay, well, I'm going to invest in this environmental protection properties. Then you submit, then get a certificate to say, okay, well, this is going to be protected for wildlife, for, natural beauty, for something. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, people invested some money and they got far more benefits in the credits in return in some cases. So, and the IRS does not like that. I have told the client, I have been inquired by clients at that time, say, okay, should I invest in this? And I say, absolutely not, unless you want to get audited. Because there is one called a form. You report all the IRS said reportable transactions. It's you waving a red flag in front of the IRS yourself.
Saying,
say,
just catch me,
hey,
catch me.
I have some like transactions you might be interested. Come to audit me. And so, yeah. And then if you read, IRS made a mission say for all these people have those sorts of transactions, this environmental credit thing, we're going to audit each one of them. And I actually know one prospect come to see us, and he is still in the mess of it and could not get, and they've been auditing him for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, we did not take him on as a client because we don't want to get middle of that, in the middle of that. But so if things sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And even if it's true, you need to ask yourself, if it's a questionable transaction, you get audited, do you want to get audited just because of that? Because the burden of proof during audit is on you, and you have to provide all the documents. And the one thing I know for sure they're going to ask is they will ask all your bank statements. Then, for instance, if you are a business owner, then they would go through your bank statements, your personal bank statements too, and they would highlight, say, look, there is a deposit. You have to tell me what this deposit is, because their question is, have you reported this income on your tax return, right? Then you are the one who have to provide to the source of this deposit. So number one thing, let me emphasize one more time, being organized and keep records.
So is that something that a CPA professional would be able to help you with, kind of keep organized and stay on track so they wouldn't have to worry about that?
Yes, let me tell you one interesting conversation I had with a client once, and I said, the difference between we CPAs prepare return and a person you don't know that much tax, because there are all sorts of tax softwares in the market. You pay $68, you get a software at least at that time. I think is how much TurboTax costs, $68. It might increase the price a bit now, but still it's not going to be expensive. Then you have this software, you got to be like, okay, well, I'm going to do my own tax return. It is totally fine, but the difference is CPAs actually know they look at your information, I look at information, I know what the final return should look like, which line should have what number. And if the number does not appear there, I would actually go hunt and find out why the number got there, or the number flowed to the wrong place. I would go actually find out why the number flowed to the wrong place. I know what the final product would look like. With a lot of people, if you don't have enough tax knowledge, then you are putting the numbers and was hoping, fingers crossed, the number fall into the right place, right? You don't know what the final. So sometimes you answer a question. There are so many questions you have to answer. If you answer a question wrong, it actually went to the wrong line. Now, I know someone who has due return for years themselves, a friend of mine, very smart professor. He has done returns so many years by himself. And then he retired. And then he did a return, and I'm sure he answered something wrong. And then he made RA contributions when he's supposed to when he cannot make deductible RA contributions. So then all of a sudden, he got a nasty notice that he got a fine. I mean, there's a lot of money you will get a fine. You got a penalized for that. I remember he told me the penalty would cover his several years after return being prepared by some professionals. So with that being said, at Zhang Financial, actually, we have our tax service, and our tax service focuses on helping people to construct more tax-efficient portfolios and do tax plannings. And we have a separate entity called Lynn and Skylar PLC. We have actually 7 CPAs, but please do not ask us to do returns. We just don't have the capacity to do the tax returns. But we actually help our clients when they receive a tax notice.
Well, Lynn, thanks for sitting here with me today and going over the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. I think this is going to be really beneficial for a lot of our listeners and our clients as well.
You are very welcome, Skylar. And one thing I'm passionate about other than investments is tax. So I can sit there and talk with you all day long about the depreciation schedules and tax changes.
Well, I look forward to it. That's all for this episode of the Zhang Financial Podcast. If you have any lingering questions that you would like Lynn, Charles, or the rest of the Zhang Financial team to answer on an upcoming episode, email us at podcast@zhanefinancial.com or the email listed in our show notes. Until next time.